This segment sponsored by Foster Financial. Welcome to Money Monday, where we give you holistic financial advice, but specifically for women in retirement. And today, joining me is Caleb Doan, who is the Vice President of Foster Financial. Hi.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How are you doing?
Good. I'm doing well, and I'm excited to learn about this topic today. So what are we discussing?
Yeah, so we're going to talk a little bit about fixed indexed annuities, or FIAs, sometimes you'll hear them called. So I know we like to kind of focus on financial advice specifically for women in these segments. Fixed indexed annuities are really interesting in this topic because on average, women tend to be slightly more conservative with their investments than their male counterparts.
Right.
Fixed indexed annuities are a very conservative investment, but they're also a very complex investment, and so they can be kind of hard to understand. So there's a lot of people out there with fixed indexed annuities, and they might not fully know how they work.
Right.
And so I figured it would be helpful to maybe spend a couple segments talking about kind of the ins and outs of FIAs.
Yeah, well, let's start from the top. What is the primary thing people should know about these accounts?
Yeah, so fixed indexed annuities, it's a type of investment account, but the reason that it's conservative essentially has to do with how interest is credited into the account.
Okay.
So typically, it does not usually track the market day to day like a 401k typically would. Usually interest is only credited once a year on the policy anniversary date.
Okay.
So you start the policy on April 1st or whatever it is, the next April 1st you get the interest credited to the policy. If the stock market has gone down, nothing gets deducted from that policy. If the stock market goes up, you'll get some interest credited to it. So, if you put $100,000 in and it tracks the S&P 500, if the S&P goes down 10%, you still have your $100,000 come that next year. Now, there can be other ways where the account values can go down, namely if you take withdrawals from the account or if there were fees for certain features on the account. But generally speaking, if the market goes down, these policies are not going to go down. When the market goes up, the policy has the ability to go up, but it typically does not go up as much as what the market does. And so, a common sort of crediting strategy that they'll use is they'll have a cap on them. So it'll say, hey, this annuity tracks the S&P 500, but it has a 5% cap. So if the S&P goes up 20%, you only go up 5%.
But that is still nice that there is some flexibility considering it's fixed.
Right.
So sometimes you feel like, okay, maybe locked in, and if it goes up, I don't gain that benefit. But you're saying that it's a little bit more flexible. So this account in particular, who does it apply to? Can anyone get a fixed annuity?
Yeah, anybody can get into a fixed annuity, but typically they're most appropriate for conservative investors because this is of course going to be in that conservative sleeve of somebody's investment. We don't see too many 30-year-olds that need to be in a fixed indexed annuity. And even in retirement, I think generally, and this is kind of a broad statement, but generally I would say fixed indexed annuities are maybe oversold in the industry. I see more cases of people kind of coming into my office and they're in a fixed indexed annuity, and I think maybe they shouldn't be, as opposed to the reverse, where somebody comes in, they don't have any FIAs, and I say, hey, this would really apply to you. Just because there are different pros and cons, and it depends on if it fits into your financial plan or not. But generally speaking, that's kind of how the interest crediting works on those. So some of them have a cap on them. Other ones have a participation rate is another common one where maybe they say, hey, if the S&P goes up 10%, you'll go up 70% of whatever that goes up. So it goes up 10, you go up 7, and then you're protected on the downside too.
And so with the fixed term in it, how long does one have to keep their money in that type of plan? Yeah,
that's a great question because that's one of the big, pieces that maybe people don't fully understand about these annuities. Is that in almost all scenarios, there's a surrender charge and a surrender period associated with these annuities. And so you can't just put money in and then 6 months later decide to pull all of the money out. Usually you have to stay in them for 5 years, 7 years, 10 years, depending on the product. And so if you wanted to pull out money before that, you would typically get charged some sort of a surrender charge, is what they call it. And there can be different features baked into the product. Maybe, you can take out 10% of the account value each year without incurring any of those charges. But typically, if you turn around and want to pull out everything, there's going to be some sort of penalty there.
Okay, that's interesting. So I feel like we will get a chance to dive deeper.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
have some more questions. So this is really good information. So thank you, Caleb.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'll see you next time on Money Monday.
Yeah.
And if you'd like more information about Foster Financial, well, we'll have their website and phone number listed below. Give them a call for your complimentary consultation, and we'll be right back. This segment sponsored by Foster Financial.